Hello everybody, this is me, Glacial Necrotin, and welcome to a new series I'd like to call Eerie Gaming. This is where I'm going to take a creepypasta and read it to you guys every week and post it up here on my YouTube channel, or at least try to, but that's beside the point. The point is, I'm going to be taking, of course, due to the nature of my name, I'm going to be reading a gaming creepypasta. However, I will take an occasional break to read something that's an original story or based off a TV series, you know, something out of the gaming genre. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive right into one that I found kind of interesting, and it is called The Theater. The player begins by describing how this game doesn't even exist anymore. They say that it was a really old game released around the time that Doom was released, believe it or not, and that you can only find on a crappy bootleg disc, which most of the time doesn't even contain the actual game. However, the legitimate copies that were released back in the day was just a disc with a blank cover, and it only had the sprite of the ticket taker, which was a character in the game. He's just a poorly drawn pixelated ball guy, and obviously wears clothes as what a ticket taker would wear. He doesn't have any expression, and they say that if you smash the disc, that the next time you look at the cover, he has an angry expression, but that was completely dismissed as an urban legend. The weird thing about this was that there was no developer name on the jewel case, and the game description on the back was just the ticket taker on a white background, both sides. The game was known for not installing properly on the computer when you actually tried to do so. It would lock up as soon as you hit the licensing agreement. What was strange for the theater was also when the developing studio is supposed to be named, the text is actually just a blank line. Anywho, most people who claim to actually own the game say they figure it out by installing the game. You simply just reboot the computer on the license agreement and reboot it with the CD in, and then they would be prompted to agree on startup. You hit that and continue with the installation. If a player supposedly manages to find what they believe to be a working copy, they have said that the installer window would freeze and stop responding before you can click your first next. But they do also say that their PCs do not lock up, and it's only the installer that freezes. Nobody knows if these are actual copies or fakes, but it is widely known that the working copies are just to draw attention to the internet with no actual proof of the installation effects. Upon proper installation, the game then starts up without any introduction, besides a main menu that is simply the sprite of a movie theater's exterior on an empty city street. The title fades in and there's 3 buttons to choose from: New Game, Load, Options. Selecting Option immediately crashes the game to the desktop. Loads is said not to even function at all. If you do have a saved game, nothing happens when you press it. Thus, New Game is the only button you can press at this point. Once it is selected, you are in the first-person view. You are standing in an empty movie theater lobby, with the exception of the ticket taker standing in front of a dark hallway which can only assume leads to the theaters themselves. There's nothing to do but look at the poorly drawn, most illegible movie posters or approach the ticket taker. Once the player moves towards the ticket taker, very low quality sound clip plays saying, "Thank you, please enjoy the movie," along with the speech box saying the same thing. You then walk into the hallway and the screen fades black, and you're in the same empty lobby, and you keep doing the same exact thing over and over again. While this may sound like a really horrible game, a number of peculiar things occur as you continue to play it. The number of times that you have to continue into the hall after giving your ticket to the ticket taker before the strange events happen is unknown. Most state that it's completely random and could take anywhere from the first playthrough to the 400th. What happens though has deeply disturbed some players. The first occurrence is when the players fade back and after walking into the hallway. This time, they will notice the ticket taker is completely absent. The player then, without any other option, decides to walk into the dark hallway. The sound clip and text box mentioned previously still plays with the absence of the ticket taker. However, the player walks into the hallway as the screen doesn't fade out. It goes pitch black as they walk deeper into this hallway. The sound clip and text box mentioned previously still plays in the absence of the ticket taker, but when the player walks into the hallways of the screen does not fade out. It goes pitch black as they walk deeper into the hallway. But the player's footstep sound clip is still playing as they continue to push up on their keyboard. Those claiming to have played the original game report to have felt extremely uncomfortable walking down the hallway, anticipating the whole way something horrible happening. Well, eventually the player is unable to move forward. There's nothing for a few moments before a strange sprite that is described as a ticket taker, but with a swirl for a face, appears and stands before the player. The original player of the game says their bodies immediately froze up and their stomachs churned as they saw the sprite, which has been appropriately named Swirly Head Man. Nothing happens as Swirly Headed Man stands before them. Suddenly a piercing screech plays through the game as it glitches out. This lasts for a few minutes, with the screeching being continuous. Then the players abruptly return to the lobby with all the sounds and graphics being as they should be before. The game is now normal for the next couple of cycles of entering the hallway, with a couple of the original players claiming the Swirly Head Man would briefly appear and disappear in the corner of the screen as a brisk yelp sound effect plays. Then, at some point after meeting Swirly Head Man, the player sees the ticket taker pacing back and forth, though there's no walking animation. The limbs are completely static as he just kind of hops up and down. It's kind of funny visual actually, with his eyes being wide and his mouth open to stimulate a worried facial expression. Some players noted that the movie posters have been replaced with images of the swirly-headed man, which caused them to immediately turn their character's head away from the posters and approach the ticket taker. Then another different low-quality sound clip plays, but the speech contains nothing but corrupted characters that causes whatever text to have been in the box completely illegible. Due to the extremely low quality of the sound, it is debated by players what exactly the ticket taker says at this point, though it is widely agreed that he says, "Never reach the other levels." Then the screen fades out once again, and returns the player to the starting point of the lobby. Ticket taker is gone, the hallway is blocked by a large brick wall. Touching the brick wall will immediately crash the game, and that's all there is to it. No one knows what the other levels are, or how to even access them. And no one knows about Swirly Head Man, why he is such an acute fear to those who have seen him in game. All the original copies have either been lost or destroyed. The creepiest part of this all is that the original players of the game occasionally see a brief glimpse of Swirly Headed Man out the corner of their eyes. And that was the theater. Pretty good creepypasta, not gonna lie. I actually got some chills down my spine as I read along with it. It's pretty cool. As far as cliches are concerned, I wouldn't really worry about them too much. I mean, they're so small that, I'd really be nitpicking at that point. And that's something I don't like doing. So, moving on. Hard to really say anything about the game in itself, as I don't even know if it exists. As far as I know, it doesn't. I've looked up a few searches actually, and I found nothing as far as the theater is concerned. The only thing I found, of course, are fan games, but hey, that doesn't count. Regardless whether it's real or not, it makes it really good in creepypasta. It definitely lives up to its name. And what I think is creepy about it is just the fact that I do think it's the ticket taker that, is also Swirly Headed Man. Like, I think there's like some sort of bipolar thing going on, or multiple personality disorder with this character, and just attacks his victims as they come down that dark hallway. And, just the no expression, just the lack of expression, and the lack of movement, how this character in-game has absolutely no animation whatsoever. Would send chills down my spine too if I seen that in person. As far as the constant repetition and actually building up to, the eerie stuff happening, it's good when it's done right, and this one actually portrays that pretty well. They did it right, and it works great with the story in my personal opinion. And actually, speaking of these fan-made games of this, I wouldn't mind booting up the unofficial version of this and playing it for you guys. And also, what would you rate this, and what would you change to make this creepypasta better? This has been an episode of Eerie Gaming, and if you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe. This is me, Glacial Necrothin, and I'll see you guys next time.